Well, hey guys, it's Vanessa with Farmgirl Gardens and Market, and today I am getting my first row installed in my school demonstration garden here out at the ministry farm. So one of the things that I really enjoy doing is teaching garden community leaders how to sustainably install new grow spaces for the first time with very little or no budget whatsoever. And one of the best ways to do that is with no-till methods. A few weeks ago, I took you along on this journey where we installed the beginning process of this garden, putting down layers of cardboard, mulch on top of it, and then building up these berms with compost and soil and covering over top of them with this landscape fabric. Now, you don't need landscape fabric. You could have used mulch again. I just had some, and it makes things a little bit easier when weeding does happen in the future. But that is, what the progress we've made in getting it installed, and now I actually want to go and plant some. So I want to show you, I'm going to turn the camera around and kind of show you our setup, and then what is companion or permaculture planting in an organically sustained garden, what that can look like. So bear with me, let me see if I can turn this around. I cannot, so I will do this instead. Okay, so I hope that you all see this? Okay, so in general, the concepts of permaculture are this. We want to support our plants to have the most nutritious soil and the most efficient uptake of nutrition from that soil. And so there are some plants that are mutually beneficial, and so those are typically what are referred to when you're speaking about companion plants, and we all know the Three Sisters Garden being the most well-known, given to us by the Native Americans who really understood, I think at an instinctual level, what the plants were doing, which was that beans fix nitrogen, and as a result, they are a really good companion species to plant alongside corn. Corn actually being a grass species, it's an aggressive grower and pretty hungry and needs a lot of nitrogen to fuel that aggressive growth. And so planting beans alongside corn is an excellent example of companion planting. In the permaculture world, the way that we do that is not only looking at the nutritional requirements of the species and how to support that, but also looking how can we create natural defense. And so I find that in our region we get a lot of squash vine borer. If you can get your squash in early in the season, like right now, you have a really good chance of getting a crop in before the squash vine borer come out, towards the later part of April. But another thing that you can do, the squash vine borer are coming to your area because they can smell where the squash is. And so if you plant heavy aromatics like basil as a border planting around your squash, that is an example not only of a companion plant, but of a permaculture planting, because you are using one species to support the other. When the wind blows over this heavy aromatic basil, just like it's doing now, it's releasing some of those organic aromatic compounds, and that is in the air and creating scent confusion so that those pests cannot as easily find the things that they're after. And that method can be used, that approach can be used in many, many different ways throughout the garden. So the plants that I have selected are also plants that are native and non-native species, because another thing that you can do in permaculture is create high diversity, high intensity plantings so that you're really creating more of like a wild ecology that supports everything. And so when I say non-native species, I certainly don't mean that you introduce anything that could be aggressive or a nuisance. But a good example of that, of a non-native species in Texas, would be this yellow patty pan squash, which is actually a French variety compared to like the more typical black beauty. And so in our area, the squash know what black beauty smell like, because that's typically what everyone is growing, the straight neck green and yellow zucchinis and squash. And so I recommend that you actually plant a couple of heirloom or non-indigenous varieties, like a couple of French squash, like the patty pan, or even some Italian round squash, Mexican cozelle squash, which have kind of the gray stripes. Not only do you get a beautiful basket come harvest, because you have all this abundance of diversity in your plate, but also your garden is much better suited to be a bio-intensive, high diversity system that can support itself. And so what I'll be doing all along this row is I'm actually going to be interspace planting tomatoes, squash, and basil. Sorry, I can't figure out how to stay on the mound. But I'm going to be interspace planting all of our different heirloom tomatoes, our different types and varieties of squash, and our different basils. And what's so fun, if y'all didn't know, I'm sorry, can't really tell if you can see me or not. If y'all didn't know, there's different types of basil. So don't just plant the Italian or Genovia basil that we all know and love, even though that's excellent, definitely plant some. But consider planting some cinnamon basil or Thai basil. I even have lemon basil. And so I like to mix it up. I think you can never go wrong with planting basil, especially over summer, because it is a aggressively growing plant. You can definitely freeze and put away things for winter. It's a companion and permaculture planting, or provides that opportunity for you so that you can use that in an organically and permaculturally designed garden. And also just so many fun things to do, from making pesto to strawberry basil lemonade. If you're really fancy and you want to do like a strawberry margarita frozen popsicle, that's amazing. I won't be able to do that for a while, but y'all can, and I'll share that recipe next time. So I hope that kind of in a nutshell explains a little bit more about why we choose certain species in permaculture or companion plantings, and what we're up to in the time of COVID. I hope that y'all are staying well and staying home, and until next time, y'all, see you then.